Hey everybody, welcome to Tool Day Tuesday. This is a video series where we take a look at the tools that I keep around the shop. The goal of this video series is to provide some tips and tricks and help you guys in your woodworking journey. This is the kind of video I wish I had when I first got started. Today's video, we're going to have a look at measuring tools. Let's get started. The ability to measure is a critical part of woodworking. We have to be able to consistently measure, record, and reproduce measurements across different materials and locations. Let's have a look at some of the measuring tools we got hanging around the shop. The tape measure is the most used measurement tool in my shop. I have multiple lying around. I keep one in my apron, one in my table saw, and one on my multi-board near my laser and CNC. You don't have to get fancy here. These are the ones I like. They're from the brand FastCap and are plenty accurate for me. I like these because I can quickly write measurements on them if needed. And this one has both imperial and metric measurements, which is nice when I'm working with my laser and CNC. The most important aspect of a measurement tool is the ability to consistently reproduce the measurements that you make. This is no different with the tape measure. If you didn't know, on tape measures, you have this hook on the end that has a little bit of play. This play is to account for the kerf of the hook. When you hook it on the edge of a piece or you push it up against a piece, the play is to compensate for the kerf and give you the same measurement. The way you test this is to make a mark on a piece of wood, do a pull. As you can see, this is right at 2 inches, and then we can push it up against the edge of the piece, and we're still right at 2 inches. You should regularly check your tape measures, as this tip will wear out over time and start producing inconsistent results. The combination square is another heavily used measurement tool in the shop. I have two of them, a 6-inch and a 12-inch. I keep the 6-inch in my apron and the 12-inch on my tool wall. This tool is great for confirming square, measuring the depth of dados, setting bit height on your routers, setting the blade height on your table saw, and laying out lines. It's great for measuring 90s and 45s, and it's just an overall great tool to have. I feel like it is an absolute essential in the shop. These are Swanson brand squares, and they've treated me well. I may upgrade in the future, but these have not held me back in any way. You don't have to break the bank here. You don't have to go out and spend $100 on your first square. You just want to make sure that you get a square that is actually square. There are plenty of videos on YouTube on how to check and adjust your combination squares to make sure they're square. So I won't go over that here. Speed squares. These are handy squares for me. I have a 6-inch and a 12-inch. I primarily use them to measure square inside of corners when building cabinets or drawer boxes. But the biggest use I get out of them is using them for saw guides when I'm cutting with my circular saw. I love these squares, and they do a great job for what they are. These two are Swanson. You can get them at your local hardware store. It's really all you need. I highly recommend having these. Rulers. These don't get a ton of use in my shop, but when I do use them, I sure am happy I have them. If you've ever tried to make measurements and mark on flat stock using a tape measure, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I have a few brands. These are from Mr. Rule, and they're great. These have imperial and metric measurements, which are great when I'm using my CNC or laser. I can use the centimeters and millimeters. And then these are Jessam brand. They're a recent pickup, and I wish I would have got them sooner. The build quality of the Jessam tools are quite impressive. The best part about these is the friction tabs built into them. If you've ever used a ruler on slippery stock, they'll have a tendency to slide around. Jessam thought of this and designed these pressure pads. When you push down on them, they're much more secure to your stock, so you're able to lay out your lines against your rules. These are a little more expensive, but I honestly feel they're worth the price. The T-square, another useful tool when needed. This tool is great when I'm breaking down sheet goods. Being able to make reference square lines across a board and have measurements out to 36 inches is great. I think this is all you need for a T-square. This is an Alvin branded one I got online. I have no complaints with it at all. Would I like a fancy $200 square? Absolutely. But this does everything I need. Calipers. These are great tools to have in any shop. Absolutely indispensable when checking tolerances and measuring the thickness of stock. I find myself using these most when I'm planing down my boards and checking the thickness. They're also great in checking the depth of dados and other holes. I like these because they're analog. I never want to need a caliper, reach for it, and then have a dead battery. These I got from Harbor Freight, and honestly, they're accurate enough for me. Like most measurement tools, I use the same tool to measure and then use it as a reference. I'm not using multiple calipers where the tolerances could mess up my measurements. 1, 2, 3 blocks. This might seem strange to some of you, but I use 1, 2, 3 blocks all the time. If I need to measure something that I know is exactly 1, 2, or 3 inches, I can just put these down without thinking. Not only that, these are incredible at measuring square inside of a corner joint. I've used them in all kinds of builds to measure square and corners. They're also incredibly handy for using as clamps in corners when gluing up. I love these things. Well, that wraps it up for the measurement tools I reach for in the shop. So make sure to check out the next tool day when we have a look at what we're going to use to make lines on the stuff we measure. Also, do me a favor and comment down below and let me know if there's any measurement tools you want me to check out. I'll try and get my hands on them and make a future tool day about them. Till then, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.